Hello and welcome to Pre-Sales Pathways, the podcast that showcases highly successful pre-sales professionals and the career paths that they've taken. My name is Chris Clark, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the wonderful Hannah Hawken. Hannah currently works as a partner solutions engineer, and if I'm honest, until relatively recently, I was pretty naive around what the role involved. I thought it was more or less identical to a standard solutions engineer, but the reality is it's quite distinct, and I think it would be very interesting for the right kind of individual. So over the next 30 minutes, Hannah's going to share a bit around how she got into pre-sales and into partner solutions engineering. She'll share what her role as a senior partner SE at Chainguard involves. And last but certainly not least, Hannah will share some of what's driven her career success so far. So for anyone potentially interested in moving into a partner SE role, or for those that just want to learn a bit more about what it involves, you will definitely want to hear Hannah's story. So that's enough from me. Hannah, first of all, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It would be great if you could give everyone a quick introduction.
A pleasure to be here, Chris. Thank you. So I obviously work as a partner SE at Chainguard. I'm the founding member of the Partner Solutions Engineer team, and we'll definitely dive into what that means. But in a nutshell, one thing to take away is that I am building the infrastructure to onboard and activate all of our partners across the world. I came on last summer, so I've been with the company nearly a year, and I see myself a bit of a Swiss Army knife. I speak numerous languages, so based in London, but really can help accelerate partners onboarding across Europe. I speak French, Spanish, and Italian. And as well as that, I am an ambassador for CoForm, which is a solutions engineering community. I believe that's where Chris and I were connected first, but that's a really great community to exchange ideas, a bit like we're doing here, to make sure that we're the best versions of ourselves and we evolve the roles that we're doing to land the greatest impact. I came over from Wiz, where I was the first partner SE in EMEA. So moving to Chainguard was a bit of a step up for me, being the first member of the team globally. And I love that role. And obviously, Wiz is a cloud cybersecurity solution company. Chainguard is the safe source for open source. So we can unpack the tech features if anyone's interested in that offline as well.
Fantastic. So Hannah, let's start with how you got into pre-sales in the first place.
Yeah, a very unconventional path. I read French, Spanish, and Italian literature at university. And was on a path to be an international arbitrator because I wanted a way to be able to use my languages in my day-to-day work forever. It's obviously a muscle that if you don't use, you will lose. And I love cross-border knowledge share, was doing an internship in Paris on this path to be a lawyer. It's very competitive getting a training contract. Working at Herbert Smith Freehills and really not enjoying it. And I guess while bouncing ideas around of what my passions and strengths are, I found myself applying to a coding bootcamp called Hawken. It was a startup, it's French born. I was batch 200 and something, moved to Bordeaux, and that was my route into tech. I thought if I can learn and love learning linguistics and languages, I can definitely learn 9 coding languages in 9 weeks in French. Definitely the most challenging thing I've done in my life, but it's got me where I am today because I went back, did my final year at Durham, and was recruited straight into a health tech startup during the COVID pandemic as a full stack developer, having already built numerous kind of freelance projects of websites, a really cool concierge service for super yachts as an app, and a nutritionist app and website. And I guess from there, it all spiraled. I got very deep into tech and product as a developer for a year and was recruited from Darktrace into the solutions engineering world, first working with customers for my 3 years at Darktrace. And honestly, I could not have thought of a better place to move into solutions engineering. The training and ongoing enablement at Darktrace was phenomenal. And I really have recommended it to a lot of budding and flourishing SEs during my career because it's important to have a strong foundation as well as understanding a technology that covers like the entire digital estate. So it's enabled me to spin off and specialize in cloud and now open source developer tools for cybersecurity, which is ultimately my passion.
Fantastic. And I know sort of reskilling is top of mind for a lot of pre-sales professionals and SEs at the moment, given the role is looking increasingly technical, particularly at AI native companies. I know a lot of people will be interested in that coding bootcamp that you did, and you said that was one of the hardest things you've ever embarked on. Is that for everyone, the coding bootcamp, or would love if you could share a bit more about that?
Oh, of course. Definitely don't do it in a foreign language. That's an extra challenge, unless you really want to practice, learning another language at the same time. It's a wonderful network. I think it's a little bit like going and doing an MBA. If anyone has explored those thoughts, you often go to meet like-minded people and exchange ideas. You get more than just the training for the actual program of the bootcamp itself. I have been asked this question quite a few times in the last few years. Would I recommend Wagon? 100%. Fantastic company. They've definitely structured, developed a lot more than when I did this bootcamp 7 years ago. But I don't believe it's necessary. And often, given it's a financial investment and time, you're going to have to take time out of work, not earning, and spend money. It's a hefty chunk. I would say it's actually probably more... it will be more highly regarded to do as many of the certifications that come at a lesser expense and you can do alongside work, so that you're really making sure that you're reskilling in the right way, because often time will tell whether it's something for you. Imagine if you joined Wagon, you've given up your job, you've invested 3 months of your time in a big expense, and a few weeks in, actually, it's not for you and it's too deep. I think it's much better to do things like the Google certifications, AWS, cloud practitioner, fundamentals, things like that is where I would start. But if you really love coding, you would actually be able to practice and now develop a lot of systems yourself, especially using AI tools like Claude, and going a bit deeper, inspecting the HTML, things like that. I think that Wagon offers a really good foundation for understanding the root behind that, because the only criticism I'd have of AI coding is that you don't really understand how this is working necessarily. You need to go and read up about that. You don't have the foundational knowledge, maybe. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. But
yeah, fantastic advice. So it's a big commitment in terms of time and potentially in terms of money as well. So dip your toe in the water, maybe try some certifications first. And if it's definitely for you, then that could provide a really good foundation.
For sure.
Cool. So fast forward to today, would love to hear a bit more about your role as the founding partner SE at Chainguard. Help us understand, for those that particularly are new to the partner SE role, what does that involve at high level?
Of course. So valuable knowledge, hopefully, for all of our listeners, because this was all the knowledge that I said yes, or the role that I said yes to before I knew the whole space when I joined at Wiz, initially employed as an SE and chose the challenge of the first partner SE. We work on building the infrastructure to scale partners. And by partners, I mean our cloud service providers like AWS, Google, and Azure, our value-added reseller partners, who offer services and will help with transacting and reselling, positioning a solution to best suit the customer's needs, as well as integration and alliance partners. We need them to be enabled in our solution so that they can best consult and position the solution for their customer base. Really, partners, the whole reason we invest in them, or companies will have a partner-first strategy, is to be able to scale the awareness of a solution and drive sales. Partners will act as an extension of your team. So being a partner SE means I'm holding all of my technical champions across all of these 3 partner buckets I've mentioned to the standard of our SEs. I want them to be trained to our level, to be able to best identify the right opportunities within the customers that they're already working with. They have a deep account intel and knowledge of what the priorities are for customers, so can best position our solution. And they really come as an objective, kind of non-biased voice to be able to position a solution with the right advice. So now that we understand who we're working with in terms of partners and why customers will choose to work with partners to offset credits and have that trusted advisor, how do we get there? Well, really, to build that infrastructure to onboard the partners, it's working with the legal team, making sure that there's a partner agreement, that there are terms that protect us, and that people are not or that the partners are not going to start selling our technology without people paying for that, that they have a test environment. We call that an NFR, a not for resale tenant. Think of it like the demo that you give to customers. Partners need to be able to do that too. As well as that, there's a whole certification program. So partners need a badge of credibility to be able to talk about our solution because they're not employed by us. All of that needs building, and we've got to frame that in a way where it sits always kind of in a strong frame of our position in the market. Because as I mentioned, partners are just that objective voice. They will also talk about the competitors in our space, and they have to do that to be fair. They're not employed or wedded to us. But I think the most important part of all of that is building those technical champions, just akin to as an SE will do with customers. The long-standing technical champions within partner organizations are so important to be able to help you on that journey. So you also know where your solution that you work for fits in to the priorities of that partner ecosystem.
Yeah, makes sense. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, I think I was definitely naive to what the role involved. I thought it was simply a case of, standard SE motion, but you're co-selling with partners. I love the term you used around infrastructure. It's so much more than that, right? It's about enabling partners to be able to work with your company at scale and set those processes up.
That was actually the main motivator for me to move into the partner solutions engineering role. Not that I don't love working with customers, but I will be honest in saying that I was bored of the monotony of the deal life cycle. And I felt like I got to Groundhog Day of, another POV, another technical champion, another demo. And I wanted to be able to leave a legacy and think creatively about building workshops and capture the flags, new marketing events. I mean, partner SEs collaborate with everyone. We'll obviously dive into that a bit more, Chris, but I need to shed an honest reality on the role that it's always a leaner team that will be invested in after the field team, which is associated with revenue and, actually closing the deals. Partners, I believe, are more impactful in the pre-sales stage of things with opportunity identification, at least to get ramping until they can prove the value post-sales with custom service development, which takes longer to build, but another challenge and fun part of the role as well.
Yeah. And you talked about some of the motivations to move away from the traditional SE role. So what are some of the things you enjoy most about the partner SE role?
Oh, great question. I could go on forever. So it's dynamic. I use my languages. The role is constantly changing because of that. I think with cross-border knowledge share, I'm talking larger teams. So not quite the case at Chainguard yet, but when I worked at Wiz, I'd have a lot of colleagues in the US, colleagues in APJ. We share ideas of what works really well. Someone might develop in their spare time, thinking creatively, a new competition around the best demo, for example, of a new piece of functionality. And all of a sudden, that's a little mini campaign that I can run with my partners across the EMEA. Love that. You have a lot of freedom and agency to identify an opportunity to drive revenue, to drive engagement with the partners, be at the forefront of their mind and run with it. You're very much your own boss, but you can collaborate with many different teams, which I love because I feel I'm constantly learning. Not that I will ever claim to be a marketing specialist, but I get a little bit of a few pointers along the way. Biggest learning for me recently has been working with legal as well, which, as we all know from my foundations, is something that I'm still curious and interested in. I think also, keeping up with the latest functionalities as well. So this is a really key point to highlight. To earn credibility with or public-facing points of contact, we want to always make sure that we're keeping them as ahead of ahead as possible. Like they know the latest features and functionality. Think about this, that if a customer were to come onto a call and start telling a partner about the latest piece of functionality of Chainguard, for example, I would be mortified because that partner's basically being shown up in front of the customer. So more and more, I have to find creative ways to plug them into product, get them access to beta functionality, hands-on with things that even I'm not enabled on because the field is yet to be enabled on. And I like that challenge. It keeps you close to product. It keeps you close to feedback. They're an invaluable resource, partners, to be able to test functionality and feedback on feature requests before anyone else. I just think the wealth of activities that we can do with our partners and that kind of energy to get them, plugged into our solution is limitless. And that's probably the best part of the role.
Love it. Yeah, I love the points around creativity. It sounds like a lot of the playbook is still yours to build, whereas maybe the traditional SE role is a bit more defined in terms of best practices and that sort of thing. So I would love to shift then to, which are some of the aspects of the role that, I don't know, you maybe dislike or that you're not so excited about?
Yeah, and this is useful for anyone out there considering a move into the partner SE space. You need to really think critically about whether you're a non-stop networker. You've got to be on the show floor the whole time. The number of events, the amount of travel it's quite testing at times. I'm 29, I can afford to do it, and I love it, but that is a lot. I think also the fact that sometimes at the start of my career, I would get anxiety around the fact that there was no one to delegate to. I was a team of one for a long time, and I still am a bit of a team of one, at least in EMEA. You've really got to find some internal champions to lean on to help collaborate. If you're not a self-starter, it's probably not the role for you, because you're ultimately isolated quite a lot of the time as a partner SE. It's the team that's going to be invested in, as I've mentioned, after the core SE team gets headcount. You've really got to fight to need and want another colleague. So sitting in a lean team globally can be quite lonely at times. I think critically about whether you go into an office or are going to make an effort to go and be with your partners, because you really have to think of yourself like a bridge between your organization and the partner organization, and therefore always find your place alternating between the two. Can be quite emotionally draining at times, because you're an extrovert 100% of the time with the partners internally to enable your team of SEs as to all of the progress you've made and how they can count on partners as their new kind of technical counterparts as well to bring into deals.
Yeah, very helpful to know. And yeah, definitely, quite different from, some aspects are quite different from the traditional SE role. So definitely worth considering those if you're thinking about moving into partner SE. Something that's very topical, for everyone right now, AI, obviously. Are there any ways that you see AI changing the role of partner SE specifically?
Yeah, a really good question. I mean, in terms of operationalization of the SE, partner SE role, I joked about the fact that Chainguard can employ me, and they've effectively, this doesn't sound very humble, does it? But they've effectively got 4 partner SEs in terms of language use. And some of my colleagues fed this back to me along the way, but there is a need for an adoption of AI to be able to account for all languages that are used across the globe. So I'm getting pressure to use a solution that's called Trans AI, I believe, Transync AI, sorry, to help our partners in India, Korea, and China understand the demo that I'm doing or training them on in a scalable way. So I only really would like to do that once and then have it in all languages for every partner that could want to learn how to demo Chainguard in the world. So Transync AI is my solution for that. I think as well as this, automating a lot of the kind of templates that we use is really key. I find myself becoming a more skilled prompt engineer day by day to refine what I'm asking AI solutions to produce for me. And the most efficient way to do this is to build a template and then reuse that. Other than this, I actually would admit that I tried to scale myself through the role as much as possible from the start. And I don't think that necessarily relies on AI, but leveraging AI means we can create the resources to do that in things like certification programs a lot more quickly. I will give a massive shout out to Glean. We use Glean at Chainguard, and that has helped me find resources 10 times faster. As I mentioned, being quite isolated in the team, I don't always feel I am in the know of the latest product deck on the latest functionality. I use Glean to say, give me the latest updates on product features and a presentation that another SC in the US might have already made, and it points me to it. Whereas previously, I probably would have trawled through files and files, understanding the different architectures of where to find this document. So AI working as your kind of personalized PA is a no-brainer. Other than that, we have creative solutions internally to use AI for, I don't know, building a little bit of an app that I've collaborated on, or UI to match partner sourced opportunities with our open opportunities. So for any customer that's being prospected by one of our AEs, I obviously have insight into all of the partners' customer base. And when our partners are looking into prospect those accounts, matchmaking RAE plus partner AE and then the respective sales team, technical team, is something I've been able to do and visualize on a nice dashboard through use of AI systems. So there are creative ways to leverage AI as well, to fulfill tasks that no one is actually doing or doing very manually, very slowly on a more kind of reactive basis.
Very cool. Yeah, I used to do a fair bit of co-selling in a previous role, and that matchmaking between account teams at the different companies was always a big pain, very manual. So yeah, that sounds great. So I would love, Hannah, looking back over the arc of your entire career, what are sort of 2 to 3 habits that you would attribute some of your success to?
Really great question. Sounds a bit cliche, doesn't it? But don't ever stop being curious. I think working in tech, that's a no-brainer. You've got to always be reading the latest news, listening to the latest podcast about what solutions are doing, where people are investing, what's top of mind, especially in cybersecurity, because the latest attack will come out and then we need to know how to respond. You need to be as interested as you are interesting. That's something my parents have taught me, but it applies to work so well, and creating bonds with people that will help you on that journey of staying up to date and ensuring that you nourish your network, basically. It's ever flourishing to be able to collaborate with people. I think that's super important for a partner SE, because we're all about alliances, all about working together to find the best solution for a customer, bringing in multiple parties. I'm sure all SEs will have heard the term multi-threading in accounts. It's a no-brainer. So never stop being curious, interested and interesting. I think being a yes person, some people might laugh at this. You can overstretch yourself. I also have the book, The Power of a Positive No, which I have tried to read about 3 times and never succeeded. Everyone tells me to push back, but I do think if you go to hyperscalers, where you're the first person on the ground, you're building out a role, there is no harm in always saying yes, and understanding, even if it does lead you to a bit of a kind of brink of burnout, what the opportunity is, and then you can start prioritizing your focus once you've tested what works. I'm not giving you the magic formula in this podcast. I don't know every solution out there and whether you need to invest more in workshops or more in deal identification or scalable certification. So say yes to everything, try it, work with colleagues as much as possible to be able to deliver on every new initiative that you identify as an opportunity, and then you can measure the success and repeat or not. Finally, I think my personal kind of habit that's been a success formula for me is I'm really big into sport, specifically running, and that keeps me sane. maybe it's a bit of an abstract kind of analogy to like running away from all problems, but if I get on a 5 to 10 mile run every morning, I feel like I can achieve anything in the day.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I have a just slightly older than 1-year-old son at home, and he's been my excuse for not running recently, but it's getting to the age where it's not a viable excuse anymore. And yeah, I think it makes a world of difference, right, for your mental health. So
100%.
would love to hear an example of a challenge that you've come across at work, and what did you take away from that?
Yeah. Hopefully everyone's got the sense that you can be a bit overstretched in the partner SE role if you work for a company that has just started their partner first motion or is building out that part of the org. It typically does come obviously a bit later in their journey of growth. At Wiz, I joined and I obviously I hadn't done the role before. I should have been quicker and more discerning to draw an analogy between my role as an SE with customers and the podding I had to 1 or maximum 2 AEs at Darktrace, and then draw that analogy to the fact that it was me covering Europe as the first and only partner SE needing to build out all this infrastructure and deliver the live kind of enablement sessions, build rapport with individuals, to 5 partner managers. Partner managers are effectively the AE to an SE in partner land. That was unsustainable. And I really should have been quicker to challenge the business to say, if you want me to do the best job at my job, we need more people. Like, there's no way that you would do that to an SE. So why are you doing it to a partner SE? That was a big challenge. I didn't clearly report up well enough or strongly enough to get the right eyes on fixing that issue quickly enough. As a result, I have taken a leadership course outside of work, which I'm really enjoying with the First Human community at the moment. And I'm learning some tactics to better construct and asks and get what I need in a stern, firm, but nice manner. You never want to change the authentic, hopefully kind person that you appear to be at work. That matters more to me than being stern and getting what I want all of the time. But protecting yourself and being able to help the business realize where they are setting you up for success or not is really important.
I love it. And have you got an example of a highlight from your career so far that you'd like to share?
A bit of a funny one. Obviously, there are awards that you get along the way that are great perks, and I will never forget those moments, recognition from partners and internally at Wiz. But I have, at the moment, been on the show floor quite a lot with the European AWS summits kickstarting. We've had Paris and London, and numerous partners still, almost a year after I leave Wiz, come up to me and say, Hannah, you built the partner demo bootcamp. I see your face, I hear your voice, I watch it on repeat. That definitely left an impact and a legacy. And I think that's probably the highlight of my career because it's still going and it brings people joy. I love the Wiz solution and they love watching my enablement. I'm super passionate about all of the tech and the functionalities, positioning, value proposition. So that will stay close to me throughout my whole career. I've recreated it and I'm in the process of developing our certification path at Chainguard, but the Wiz Partner Bootcamp was probably my biggest highlight so far.
Fantastic. You've been immortalized, that Wiz.
Yes.
So we'd love to hear a piece of advice you would have for other solutions engineers, maybe solutions engineers a bit earlier in their career.
Yeah. First thing I'll say is I am so open to talk more with anyone who wants personalized advice on the matter, especially the transition from being an SE to a partner SE or working cross-border and the challenges that can raise. But a big piece of advice I would say just across the board for anyone and everyone is make sure that you are joining any meeting with a purpose. So there must be one agenda item, quite selfishly for you, that you want to get out of a meeting. Don't join otherwise. Your time is worth so much, and I wish I had known that sooner. The worst feeling is being on a meeting where you say nothing, you feel like a lemon, and you've wasted loads of your time. So go into every meeting getting something out of it for yourself. Otherwise, be bold enough to say, no, I'm not joining. I'm sorry, I've got a whole suite of other priorities, and this is not making the cut.
Fantastic advice. Lastly, what's next for you, Hannah?
Still obviously building the technical partner ecosystem here at Chainguard. Really loving that. It's an exciting space to be in. We've just released loads of new features and product developments. I think that Anthropic's Mythos and Project Glasswing is going to shed a lot of light on how developers and teams all over the world, everyone having an app on a website is developing, innovating, and needs a safe source for open source. So I'm there to stay, working here at Chainguard. Obviously, it's a category creator in the cybersecurity space. I think continuing to work with the CoForm community as well to bring lots of interesting, thought-provoking firesides to the SE community. I like to stay really plugged in with SEs and not pigeonhole myself too much in a partner SE bucket. As I mentioned, it can be a lonely space, and I ultimately care about customers on the journey. It's just partners are another kind of piece of that equation. As well as that, I guess this podcast has been super inspiring. Not that I could start my own one, but I would love to be implicated and involved in more kind of opportunities to talk and help others find their best space in their career journey.
Absolutely. Well, by all means, start your own podcast. It's a lot easier than you would think. And, I love the idea of sharing more with the community, the work that you're doing with CoForm. This, for me, has been a super interesting conversation. A couple of takeaways. As I said at the beginning, I was very naive, I think, about the role, and I hadn't appreciated quite how much of an emphasis there is on scale and infrastructure, which I think is really exciting for a lot of SEs, particularly those that you mentioned are feeling like maybe it's a bit Groundhog Day with the traditional SE role. Also, your point around reskilling, I know that's top of mind for so many people. Coding bootcamps are one option. That's it's a significant investment. So think about maybe a certification as a lower lift way of testing whether or not that's definitely the direction that you want to go. Hannah, thank you so much for taking the time to join and being so generous with your insights. Hopefully you won't mind if listeners to the podcast are interested, they can connect with you or follow you on LinkedIn.
100%. I'm ready to talk.
Fantastic. And yeah, to everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. You can follow the podcast or subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.